Your content was never designed to convert. It was designed to compete for attention, for credibility, to sound just different enough inside an existing conversation. And when your content competes, it doesn't trigger a decision. It triggers a search. You just trained your ideal clients how to shop from someone else because you're using content strategies that were built to hide your methodology and your innovation. They're designed to create intrigue around what you do instead of showcasing it. And so what happens? They learn from you. They find 5 other people in your space that sound and do exactly what you do, and they pick whoever's the cheapest or has the best vibe. But when you build content that leads, content that changes how your market thinks, they stop shopping and they start committing. So in this episode, I'm going to show you how founders create content so different that shopping around doesn't even make sense. It's the same strategy that Salesforce used to create a $250 billion market, and the same one that solo consultants used to charge premium prices without competing. Now, hey, I am Echeverria, and I help founders and CEOs become category leaders by turning their expertise into a self-selling IP system using the Netflix effect. Now, this week, we're kicking off our Innovation Assets in Action series, where I show you how to apply your innovation assets within your marketing, sales, operations, and growth strategy. So last episode, we talked about how to actually develop your innovation assets, those invisible innovations that are hiding in your business that set category leaders apart from everyone else. Now, companies like Salesforce, Drift, Apple, they didn't win by being better. They won by being innovative, by creating innovation assets that redefined their categories. So if you missed that episode, go back and listen, because what we're covering today builds directly on that foundation. Because here's the thing. Having an innovation asset is one thing. Deploying it through your content so it actually converts clients, that's something else entirely. Now, right now, most founders are posting consistently. They're getting engagement, but they're not seeing the conversions that they want. Now, that's not because you're inconsistent or unskilled. It's because your content is built to compete and not to lead. Because category defining content isn't built the same way standard content is. It requires your innovation asset as the foundation, and most content strategies are built for people who don't have one. So most content follows the same playbook everyone else follows. Create valuable content, better hooks, stronger CTAs, more case studies, bigger claims. The goal, prove you're better than the other experts teaching the same thing. But when everyone's teaching the same thing, proving you're better doesn't matter. You're just adding to the same conversation, fighting for attention in the same space. But companies that actually disrupt markets with content that converts, they're not fighting to be heard in an existing conversation. They're starting an entirely new one. So let me show you what this looks like. In 2016, every marketing expert was having the same conversation about lead generation. How do we capture more leads? How do we improve conversion rates? How do we optimize our forms? Everyone was focused on the same thing: how to get more people to fill out your forms. And every conversation was built around better forms, copy, and lead magnets. But David Cancel, CEO of Drift, wasn't interested in that conversation. He started an entirely different one where he called out that forms themselves were the problem. So Cancel did something radical. One morning, he called his head of marketing and told him to get rid of all of their forms. He created content that started a revolution. No forms ended up becoming their rallying cry. Articles that attacked forms as abuse, conference talks about why the entire lead gen industry was broken, and social posts that were calling out the fake lead epidemic. They weren't saying, here's a better way to capture leads. They were saying that the entire conversation about lead capture was all wrong. Their content revealed the how and the why of their innovation. It made conversational marketing the entire story. And that's what started a completely new conversation. Business owners reading Drift's content weren't thinking, this is a really interesting take on lead gen. They were thinking, holy shit, we've been having the wrong conversation. Forms became the villain. Conversational marketing became the answer. And when people thought, who should I hire? There was only one company that came to mind: Drift. because they started that conversation. They created the no forms movement. They owned the conversational marketing area. Now, you see what happened? Drift didn't join the lead generation conversation and try to shout louder. They built content around their innovation asset of conversational marketing. And they showcased that innovation, revealed it, made it the foundation of everything they said. That's what allowed them to start an entirely new conversation. It made the old one irrelevant. They're not the only ones. In 2000, every software company was having the same CRM conversation. Who has better features, easier implementation, and better support? Now, everyone was focusing on the same thing, how to manage customer relationships more effectively. The fight was over who had the best on-premise software. But Mark Benoit wasn't interested in that conversation. He started an entirely new one where he called out that software itself was the problem. Salesforce's content wasn't built on CRM best practices. It was built on their innovation asset, cloud computing. They launched the No Software campaign, launch events that put software in hell, screening salespeople in cages, whack-a-mole games throwing software CDs in the toilets. They weren't hiding their innovation behind better features and bolder claims. They were showcasing it, loudly declaring that software is dead and cloud computing is the future. Their content revealed the paradigm shift. It made cloud computing the entire conversation. They weren't joining the better CRM discussion. They were starting the end of software movement. So even when Business Insider called them the ant at the picnic, nobody believed that this tiny startup could challenge the giants, but they defied all odds. They made the entire software conversation obsolete. They sparked a movement around cloud computing, and they helped create a $250 billion SaaS market. And it started with content that ended the software era. See the pattern? Drift didn't join the lead generation conversation. They built content on their innovation asset, conversational marketing, and they showcased it. And Salesforce didn't join the CRM conversation. They built content on their innovation asset, cloud computing, and they showcased it. They didn't hide their innovation behind hype tactics or bolder claims. They made their innovation the foundation of their content. They revealed the how and the why, and that's what allowed them to start an entirely new conversation, the ones that made the other ones irrelevant. When you build content on your innovation asset and showcase it, you don't have to fight to be heard. Everyone comes to you. And that's what you want, to share content that shifts the market and how it thinks and operates, create insights that nobody else sees, and lead conversations that matter. You were never interested in going viral or chasing likes. You want people to see your content and think, this is it. Where have you been my whole life? Their minds cracked wide open and jumping at the opportunity to work with you and your team. That's the goal, right? Content that creates a movement of change and brings in the perfect fit clients who are already sold. So why isn't that happening? You're doing everything you were told to do, better hooks to grab attention faster than everyone else, stronger CTAs to push harder than your competitors, bold claims to stand out in a crowded feed, more case studies to prove you're better. But here's the thing. The entire playbook is rigged. It's designed around one goal: win the comparison, be louder, bolder, and more aggressive. Prove that you're the best choice when someone's shopping around. All these strategies are built to outcompete the rest of the market. And worse, they're inadvertently created to hide any innovation, because these strategies were designed for people teaching borrowed frameworks, industry best practices, certification methodologies, what everyone in the space teaches. And when you're teaching what everyone else teaches, revealing the how and the why doesn't help you, it hurts you, because it makes it obvious that you're teaching the same thing as everyone else. It commoditizes you. It makes you look identical to your competitors. So these strategies tell you to hide the methodology, the innovation. Don't give away the framework, they'll just hire someone else cheaper to execute it. Focus on outcomes and not the process. Tease the transformation and protect the secret sauce. The goal: create intrigue around borrowed methodology so they don't realize it's borrowed. Use hype and tactics to differentiate when you have nothing differentiated. And if you don't have innovation, this makes sense. Hiding borrowed methodology is smarter than revealing it. But here's the problem. You're not teaching borrowed methodology. You have an innovation asset. You think differently. You work differently. You get different results. And when you use strategies that are designed to hide methodology, strategies built for people with nothing unique to showcase, your innovation asset never shows up in your content. So while you have a genuinely different approach, real innovation, you've erased it from your content altogether. So Let's say that you're a therapist right now with a proprietary approach to trauma recovery, real innovation in how you help clients process and heal, but you create content using strategies designed to hide it. So you post 5 signs that you're ready for trauma therapy. Is it valuable? Absolutely. Is it helpful? Sure. Is it anything different than 1,000 other therapists? No. At least not from reading your content. You've erased all traces of your innovation because the content strategy that you were told to use was meant to hide it. So someone reads your content and thinks, this is exactly what I need. I'm ready for therapy. And then they think, okay, who should I work with? They Google trauma therapist near me. 23 options come up. They visit 5 websites, read 5 bios, all talking about the same similar approaches. And guess what? Without your innovation asset in your content, you look like everyone else. You're all describing similar outcomes, similar philosophies, the same conversation about healing. So who do they choose? Whoever takes their insurance, whoever has evening availability, whoever responds first. Your content educated them on what to look for in trauma therapy so that they can go and shop around. You didn't convert them to you. You converted them to the generic category of trauma therapist. Then, when they went shopping for who fits their logistics best, because when you hide your innovation asset, you look comparable. Even though you're not building a client base, you're building a comparison list. And here's the brutal truth. Your content strategy is sabotaging you. It was designed for people without innovation assets, built to help the non-innovators outcompete when they have nothing differentiated. So it hides methodology. It joins existing conversations. It focuses on tactics to stand out, and you're using those same strategies, erasing all your innovation from your content. So you get engagement, but you don't get conversions because competing content doesn't trigger a decision. It triggers a search. You're teaching them how to shop from someone else. So what's the alternative? How do you build content that actually converts, positions you as the category leader, and makes clients come to you already sold? You do the opposite of what those strategies tell you to do. You don't hide your innovation asset, you showcase it. You don't join existing conversations, you start new ones. Remember Drift and Salesforce? Their content wasn't built on industry best practices. It was built on their innovation assets. So conversational marketing and cloud computing. And they didn't hide their innovations behind hype tactics or bolder claims. They revealed them. They made their innovation the entire foundation of their content. They showed the how and the why, the thinking behind it, the paradigm shift it created. That's what allowed them to start entirely new conversations. And that's what you need to do. Here's what happens when you showcase your innovation asset in your content. You're no longer teaching what everyone else teaches. You're teaching what only you see. You're not joining the conversation about how to do therapy better. You're starting a conversation about why the standard approach to trauma recovery is incomplete. You're not one trauma therapist among 23 options. You're the therapist who created a completely different paradigm for healing. And when someone encounters your content, they don't think this is helpful advice. They think, holy shit, I've been thinking about this all wrong. That's the difference. Competing content educates. Category defining content transforms how they see the problem. And when you transform how they see the problem, shopping around stops making sense because no one else is having that conversation. You started it. So here's what you need: a content strategy that's built to showcase your innovation asset, not hide it, a framework for turning your innovation into content that starts conversations rather than joining them, and a method for creating category leadership through your content. And that's exactly what I'm going to give you. I call this the category leadership method. It's how category defining founders turn their innovation assets into content that doesn't just get engagement, it creates movements and makes buying from you inevitable. Now, there are 3 components, and every piece of category defining content, whether it's Drift ending forms or Salesforce ending software, or you ending whatever broken paradigm exists in your industry, follows this exact structure. So let me break it down. The first piece of the puzzle is dismantling the old belief. This is where you show what your market currently believes or what they're currently doing. And you prove why that belief is actually causing their problem. So it's not, could it be better? It's not, there's another way. It's that you prove what they're doing is actively sabotaging them. You create this cognitive dissonance so strong that they can't unsee it. So remember Drift? They didn't say that forms are underperforming. They said that Forms are a form of customer abuse, creating fake leads. They made it impossible to keep using forms without feeling like you were doing something fundamentally wrong. Salesforce, they didn't say that software is inconvenient. They made it put in hell, in cages, in toilets. They made software the villain. Your job in this first phase is to make the old way unacceptable. Show them the gap between what they believe and what's actually true. Make that gap so clear that they can't go back. This part is critical because you need to create a clean slate. Without dismantling those old beliefs first, they're going to try to fit your new paradigm into their existing framework. So they'll dilute it, they'll compromise it, treat it like it's one more thing that they need to do alongside what they're already doing. That's called belief stacking, adding new information on top of old beliefs without clearing the foundation first. And belief stacking doesn't create transformation, it creates confusion and half measures. See, if a therapist client believes that I just need to be stronger and overcome my trauma, and you add you need to process your emotions on top of that belief, what happens? They try to do both. They try to be stronger while processing emotions, which means they're still suppressing and pushing through. They just added some journaling to their already destructive coping mechanism. They didn't abandon the idea of be stronger. They stacked this process emotions on top. So no healing happened. They're just doing two conflicting things at once and wondering why neither of them works. But if you dismantle the old belief first, prove that being stronger is actually preventing healing, creating more damage, now they can fully embrace processing emotions without trying to muscle through it. You need them to abandon the old belief before they can fully adopt the new one. That's what dismantling does. It clears the slate so they're genuinely receptive to new thinking. You need them to be able to abandon that old belief before they can ever fully adopt the new one. So you need to prove the old way is the problem, not just it could be improved. What they're doing right now is actively working against what they want. So it's not about being controversial for the sake of it. It's about being honest about what's broken. If your content doesn't create that holy shit moment where they realize they've been thinking about this all wrong, you haven't dismantled strongly enough. They'll stay attached to the old belief and keep shopping around. Now, the second component is creating the new paradigm. This is where most people make a fatal mistake. They go straight from the old way doesn't work to buy my solution. But category defining content does something different. It installs a new category first. So it's not your specific product or service yet, it's the paradigm. So cloud computing, not Salesforce, conversational marketing, not Drift. You need them to adopt the new game as the standard before they ever even consider your solution. Because if you jump from forms don't work straight to use our chatbot, you're still in the old category. You're just using another lead gen tool. But if you go from forms don't work to conversational marketing is the future, then our chatbot executes conversational marketing. You've changed the game. You created the category, you own it. Let me give you some examples of this. So Drift didn't say use our chat tool. They said adopt conversational marketing. And Salesforce didn't say buy our CRM. They said move to cloud computing. Spotify didn't say use our music app. They said shift from ownership to access. And Tesla didn't say buy our car. They said transition to electric vehicles. You see the pattern? The category comes first. Your solution comes second. Your job in component number 2 is to introduce the new category level solution, this new paradigm, show them what they need instead, not your approach yet, the concept, the new way of thinking about the problem. Prove how that paradigm solves the gap that you just created. So why this is the way forward and not just an alternative, but the answer. You need them to adopt that new paradigm before they ever think about hiring you. Because once they've adopted your paradigm, buying from you becomes inevitable. You're not the option in the old category, you're the authority in the new one. So the third component is owning the standard. Now you have to position your approach as the way to execute the paradigm. So since you created and defined the paradigm, you own it. This is where your innovation asset comes in fully. You showcase how you execute this new paradigm, the methodology, the framework, the approach, not hidden behind tactics, it's front and center. So let me show you what this looks like. Drift didn't say conversational marketing is the future. What they did is they showed you exactly how conversational marketing works through their platform. So they had real-time chat, instant qualification, human conversation instead of form fields. So they revealed the mechanics of their innovation asset because they owned conversational marketing. So they revealed how it worked, but didn't commoditize them. It proved that they were the authority. And Salesforce didn't just say move to the cloud. They showed you exactly what cloud computing meant for CRM. Access anywhere, no installation, automatic updates, pay-as-you-go pricing. They revealed the entire model because they pioneered cloud computing for the business software. Transparency reinforced their leadership. You see what's happening? When you own the paradigm, revealing your methodology doesn't make you comparable. It makes you the inevitable choice because you're showing them exactly how the new standard works through your innovation asset. Your framework isn't the secret sauce. You don't need to hide it. It's proof that you created this paradigm. And buying from you isn't just a smart choice, it's the inevitable next step. Because you're not one solution among many execute the same paradigm. You're the authority. You're the person who created the standard that they just adopted. So I need you to understand what you're trying to prove in component 3 is that you are the creator and the authority in this paradigm. Your innovation asset is how this paradigm gets executed. So you're no longer competing in a category, you own one. So I want you to think about it in my own business. I give you access to the Netflix effect. I show you exactly how and why this works when you go through my on demand series. And all my clients are exactly the same way. They give people insight, they let them see inside the method, how it works, why it works, all the details, because we're not giving them steps that they go take and apply for themselves. We're giving them the foundation of understanding that allows them to actually see the innovation at hand. So you're not just going to create content that gets engagement, you create a category leadership. And category leadership isn't going to create shopping, it creates commitment. So if you're sitting here and you are wondering, how do I know if I'm executing this correctly? I want you to think about the fact that weak execution gets engagement, but it doesn't convert. Strong execution creates category leadership and it makes buying from you inevitable. So if you want a diagnostic that actually helps you assess your content, it's called the Category Leadership Content Test. If you want it, just message me on Instagram or Facebook and say category test and I'll send it over. It'll show you exactly where your content is weak and what needs to happen in order to strengthen it. So let's kind of recap what we talked about. Most content is built to compete. We understand that. We're asked to join the conversation, use hype tactics, hide methodology, and that works when you have nothing differentiated. But you do have something differentiated. You have an innovation asset. You have this category defining content that's going to be able to do 3 things. It's going to dismantle the old belief, make the way that they've thought about this before so unacceptable that they're ready for new thinking. The second step is to create the new paradigm, install this paradigm level shift before you ever position your solution. And the third is to own the standard. Showcase your innovation asset as the authority on executing this paradigm. When you execute all 3, you stop competing and you start leading. Your content doesn't just get engagement, it creates category leadership and makes buying from you inevitable. Now, this category leadership content method is just one piece in how we help founders turn their innovation and their IP into a self-selling business. I created the easiest method because I understood that founders and CEOs were being categorized into spaces that actually required them to compete, when in reality, you've created something truly different, something that's actually revolutionizing your industry, and you deserve a strategy that fits that. So there are 3 components to how the easiest method works, and the first one is winning the market. Because the reality is, the best clients, your sophisticated, ready to buy clients, are not looking for another take on the same thing. They're searching for a breakthrough that makes them say, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. So while most businesses are fighting for attention, smart founders are making their competition irrelevant. And that's exactly what we do inside the first step. We leverage the innovative gap methodology where we help you actually uncover, identify, and articulate what your IP is and how to actually communicate that inside of an innovation asset. So that means that you're going to be able to pinpoint the gap in the market that only you can fill, find the future innovation opportunities that are going to create multiple income streams for you. So you no longer are just one of many options. You're the only option for high intent buyers. This step alone has allowed my clients to create successful business models, create licensing opportunities, charge 5 to 10 times more than they are right now, have clients who are lining up to work with them. This is how you create recognition and how you create actual market opportunity inside of your business. Now, once you have that innovation asset in place, the next step is how do we actually deploy it? How do we get people to see it, understand it, feel it, experience it, and realize this is exactly what I need? This is the next step in how we actually take those innovation assets and create self-selling markets and business within that. So I call this the bingeable decision system. And simply put, what we're doing is leveraging people's natural decision process and turning it into a bingeable experience. So we're turning your innovation asset into a bingeable masterpiece where every step of the way people are actually buying into your methodology. So this allows you to be able to have an asset that self-sells, gets people to be able to go through that and become obsessed. So at the end of that, of going through your bingeable series, they're able to say, this is exactly what I've needed. They're showing up to sales conversations ready to buy. This is how you get people to become become obsessed with you, selling themselves on you, create that category defining leadership, simply again by mirroring the way that natural decision process happens. No more chasing, no more months of back and forth, just a simple system that gets your leads to sell themselves. Now, the final piece in the puzzle is actually creating a process that turns your innovation assets into a systematic approach for delivery. So once you've created an innovation asset, we apply it within the delivery so that your clients are actually getting results without being dependent upon you, but without being dependent on team, employees, etc. So this is the systematic approach to delivering world-class results at scale without being fully reliant. This is how you turn your innovation into opportunity. So that actually informs whether you want to create a best-selling book, you want to create licensing that now gets utilized beyond your own work, create the opportunity to expand your business into different locations or different opportunities. This is where it starts. So this is the power behind the EasyS method. We're building your business system, strategies, and innovation to take your industry by storm and becoming the most talked about and bought from expert. So next week, we're continuing the Innovation Assets in Action series, and we're taking everything you just learned about content and applying it to your sales system, because your content creates category leadership, but your sales system is what needs to actually reinforce it. If you don't do that, you lose them. So I'm going to show you how category defining founders structure sales systems that don't just pitch, persuade, and don't overcome objections, because when installed correctly, your sales system makes selling optional. So if you're an action taker and you've seen what we've talked about here today and you want to see how the EasyS method can be applied inside of your business, I want to invite you to apply for a growth optimization call. This call, you and I will sit down, we'll look at what your business model currently looks like, where the opportunities for innovation and how to apply that innovation within your business are, and how I can actually support you in doing that. So if you're ready to book that call, head on over to easyyesleads.com/call to apply. Now, if you're new around here and you want to learn a little bit more about how we use the Netflix effect to create a self-selling IP asset system, I want to invite you to check out our on-demand series where I break down the 3 steps that turn your IP into a movement and your marketing into a self-selling system. So head on over to thenetflixeffect.com to check it out now. As always, we love and appreciate if you could take 1 minute to rate, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. But until next time, here's to keeping it real.